Hello from Daily Moral Story. Welcome to today's inspiring tale. Malcolm Brown had come a long way from his tough upbringing in a neighborhood. Raised by a single mother who worked multiple jobs, he knew what it meant to struggle for essentials like food and clothing. Yet he also knew how powerful a small act of kindness could be. Determined to honor the values of community and perseverance instilled in him, Malcolm worked his way through college, battled social biases, and excelled in entrepreneurship. By age 35, he had launched multiple ventures, the most recent being a cozy restaurant in the heart of the city. Few realized this business belonged to a CEO whose origins were far from privileged. Malcolm relished the anonymity, for it allowed him to see reality without filters. One chilly afternoon, he decided to visit his restaurant undercover, blending in like a regular customer. He had no idea how profoundly that day would resonate. Standing before the glowing sign, he felt both excitement and nostalgia, recalling how scarce opportunities once were. Now, at last, he was in a position to help others. What he discovered inside his own establishment would reveal the depth of human compassion and spark a community-wide wave of change. He slipped inside quietly. He wore a simple sweater, jeans, and a baseball cap pulled low over his forehead, hoping no one would suspect he was the owner. His intention was to observe everything: service, kitchen flow, and the overall vibe, without attracting special attention. Growing up, he'd been the only odd kid in many of his advanced classes, always working twice as hard to be taken seriously. That experience shaped his approach to leadership. He believed in empathy, fairness, and giving people chances they might not get elsewhere. Now, as he looked around the dining room, he felt a wave of pride. The decor was inviting, reflecting the welcoming space he'd once dreamed about when his mother and siblings could only afford the cheapest meals. He found a small table near the window and settled in. A friendly waitress named Camilla approached. She greeted him with genuine warmth, asking if he wanted coffee or water to start. He requested both, enjoying the subtle hum of conversation around him. The restaurant was moderately busy, with couples and families chatting over steaming plates. It filled him with hope that his venture was thriving. Moments later, Camilla returned with a freshly brewed cup of coffee. Malcolm breathed in its comforting aroma and ordered the house specialty, a bowl of hearty chicken soup and a sandwich. As he waited, he couldn't help but notice two figures who had just entered. They were a middle-aged woman and a teenage boy, both looking uncertain. They slid into a corner booth. The woman was Brenda, the boy was Noah, and something in their posture spoke of weariness. Malcolm sipped his coffee, trying not to stare, but he overheard their hushed conversation. Brenda mentioned medical bills and rent, apologizing to Noah for not being able to give him more. Noah, in turn, promised he'd find a part-time job soon, wanting to ease his mother's burden. Their words reminded Malcolm of times he and his mother faced similar hardships. He recalled the sting of living in underfunded neighborhoods where a single dollar made a difference. The server, Trevor, approached Brenda and Noah's table. When he learned they were on a tight budget, he quietly offered them a discount or a special meal plan. Brenda seemed embarrassed but grateful. Watching from his seat, Malcolm's heart constricted. He'd set up guidelines encouraging staff to help people in need, but seeing it unfold firsthand was deeply moving. He finished half his sandwich and pushed aside the soup, finding it difficult to focus on his own meal. He saw Brenda's anxious glance at the menu prices and Noah's stoic silence. Something in Malcolm wanted to help directly, but he also worried about making them feel singled out. Instead, he signaled Camilla and asked a few questions under his breath. She confirmed that Brenda and Noah were regulars in hardship, and the staff always did what they could. Malcolm learned that Beatrice, the manager, had created a small fund, Meals of Mercy, to cover part of the cost for struggling families. Brenda and Noah often received just enough support to eat a decent meal without feeling entirely dependent. Malcolm's heart swelled, recalling how he used to wonder if anyone cared when he was broke and hungry. Now he saw his restaurant staff living up to the principles he'd hoped to instill. Determined to see more, Malcolm rose and slipped toward the back. He found the manager's office, a cramped space where Beatrice was on the phone. She waved him in, ending the call. He introduced himself as a curious patron asking about the special fund. Beatrice explained how a percentage of weekly earnings was set aside. She didn't know he was the actual founder of that policy. Malcolm felt equal parts pride and humility. "I'd like to contribute," he said softly. "I overheard a family that seems to be in real trouble." Beatrice gave him a grateful nod, producing a small envelope. He placed a generous sum inside, ensuring that Brenda and Noah's meal would be covered. Then he thought about other families. "I want this to help as many people as possible," he added. "No need to mention my name." Beatrice thanked him, promising the money would be spent where it was needed most. Malcolm returned to his table. He pretended to check his phone, but kept an eye on Brenda and Noah. After they finished, Camilla came over with a receipt that was mostly covered by the fund. Brenda insisted on paying what she could, handing over a few crumpled bills. Camilla reassured her they were always welcome. The weary lines on Brenda's face softened, and Noah's shoulders relaxed. They left with a small takeout bag, their eyes brimming with relief and gratitude. Malcolm felt a wave of emotions: sorrow for their struggles, admiration for their resilience, and the unmistakable call to do more. He quietly paid his own check and left a note praising the staff's compassion. Stepping into the chilly air, he reflected on his own journey from a cramped apartment in an underprivileged neighborhood to now owning a thriving business. The memory of counting coins to buy groceries was still fresh, reminding him that a single act of kindness could be monumental for those in crisis. He resolved to expand the restaurant's assistance. That same night, he texted his assistant to organize a management meeting. He wanted to announce a new program, something that would address not just a one-time meal, but ongoing support for people like Brenda and Noah. As he drove home, visions of scholarships, training opportunities, and broader partnerships filled his mind. Early the next morning, Malcolm arrived in a tailored suit, ready to reveal himself. Beatrice, Trevor, Camilla, and a handful of other staff members sat around a conference table. They recognized him from the night before, but none expected what he was about to say. Standing at the head of the room, he introduced himself as Malcolm Brown, the restaurant's owner. The group exchanged wide-eyed looks. "I came in as a regular customer," Malcolm explained. "I witnessed how you treated Brenda and Noah. It made me realize it's time to do even more." He went on to share his background, a man who grew up in a world where opportunity often felt elusive. He spoke about how adversity drove him to succeed, and how compassion helped him get there. His dream had always been to offer hope where it was scarce. "You've all done an incredible job," he said, voice brimming with emotion. "But a meal isn't always enough. Families face rent, medical bills, education costs. We need a bigger safety net." He then outlined his new plan, called Project Hope, a multifaceted program that would partner with local charities, schools, and clinics. It would include job training, mentorship, and scholarships for students who couldn't afford college. The existing Meals of Mercy Fund would become a cornerstone, augmented by donations, events, and a portion of the restaurant's profits. The staff listened in awe, some smiling through tears. Camilla raised her hand. "I've always wanted to offer cooking and budgeting workshops for struggling families. Maybe we can fold that into Project Hope." Malcolm beamed. "Exactly. We don't just feed people, we empower them." Trevor suggested connecting with local farmers for affordable produce, while Beatrice proposed coordinating with community centers to identify families in need. Everyone buzzed with excitement, proud to contribute to something that resonated with their sense of purpose. Over the next several weeks, they worked around the clock to launch Project Hope. They printed flyers, set up a fundraiser, and reached out to schools. On the official launch day, the restaurant closed for normal service, hosting a free community luncheon instead. A crowd gathered outside, drawn by word of mouth and social media. Brenda and Noah arrived, shy but eager to see what it was all about. Standing near the entrance, Malcolm addressed the attendees with a microphone. He told them about his past, how being an entrepreneur wasn't just about building personal success, but about uplifting others who felt overlooked. He spoke of dreams deferred and how collective kindness could rekindle them. With a mixture of vulnerability and determination, he declared Project Hope officially open. Then he beckoned Brenda and Noah forward. The crowd parted and they emerged, eyes wide with curiosity. Malcolm handed Brenda a small envelope. Inside was a scholarship offer for Noah, covering a portion of his future education. Brenda's hands shook as she read the words. Tears streamed down her cheeks, and Noah stood stunned. Applause rang out from the crowd, and the moment crystallized. A simple meal weeks ago had led to a life-changing opportunity. "I can't thank you enough," Brenda whispered, voice trembling. "We barely had enough to get through each day. Now you're telling us Noah can go to college?" Malcolm placed a hand on Noah's shoulder. "I believe in your potential," he said. "When I was your age, I worried about how to pay for school, too. A scholarship changed my life. Now it's your turn." The audience cheered, snapping photos and sharing the news online. Camila and Trevor handed out plates of food to guests, many of whom were families struggling in similar ways. Some had lost jobs, others battled health issues, and still others faced generational poverty. Yet, under the umbrella of Project Hope, there was a collective sense of optimism. Local reporters interviewed Malcolm, intrigued by the idea of a CEO using his restaurant to drive social impact. He spoke candidly about how discrimination once made him question if the corporate world had room for him. That doubt fueled his desire to create inclusive spaces where everyone was treated with dignity. He emphasized that Project Hope wasn't a short-term fix, but a sustainable model that could be replicated. In the following months, the program gained momentum. A portion of the restaurant's weekly profits funded free workshops on job training, budgeting, and cooking. Brenda volunteered as a speaker, encouraging those who felt too embarrassed to seek help. Noah, buoyed by his scholarship, studied tirelessly and assisted in mentorship sessions. Camila and Trevor organized meal plans and produce partnerships, while Beatrice oversaw finances. Local media published glowing articles, underscoring Malcolm's role as a CEO reshaping community support. But even with growing praise, Malcolm faced skeptics. Some questioned if the program was sustainable. Others assumed he must have a hidden agenda. Yet he pressed on, certain that real change required resilience and an unwavering commitment to uplifting others. Through it all, he remembered his mother's sacrifices when money was scarce. That memory fueled his drive to make Project Hope a beacon for anyone on the brink of despair. Each success story, a single parent finding stable work, a teen gaining confidence, reminded him why he'd begun this journey. His staff stood beside him like family, each person bringing their own passion to the cause. Together they set a new standard. A restaurant could be both profitable and profoundly humane. One late afternoon, Malcolm arrived for a meeting and spotted Brenda and Noah, who now smiled effortlessly. Brenda waved, eager to share her progress. She had found a better-paying job with medical benefits and was volunteering on weekends. Noah proudly announced he was thriving in his classes, hoping to pursue nursing. Their gratitude radiated, a living testament to how compassion could rewrite someone's story. Malcolm remembered his own teenage years, how a mentor's support helped him escape the cycle of poverty. Seeing Noah on a parallel path felt surreal. Over dinner, they discussed Project Hope's expansion, more internships, youth leadership programs, and stronger ties with local schools. Malcolm also mentioned forging alliances with other restaurants, creating a network of socially conscious eateries. Brenda suggested hosting an annual community fair where families could learn about nutrition, job opportunities, and scholarship deadlines. Noah offered to coordinate volunteer sign-ups, building on his knack for leadership. Malcolm grinned, marveling at how quickly adversity could turn into strength when people felt seen and valued. As they parted, Malcolm felt renewed determination. The road ahead wasn't easy, yet seeing Brenda and Noah reminded him that hope was unstoppable. Over the next year, Project Hope became a staple in the community. Families found job leads through its training sessions, teens pursued scholarships, and seniors relied on hot meals. The restaurant hummed with purpose, bustling not just with diners but with volunteers and educators. Malcolm's approach drew attention from local leaders who praised his balance of business savvy and community care. Yet he never forgot where he came from. Growing up as a boy in an overlooked neighborhood, he often felt invisible. Now, his successes proved what could happen when underserved voices refused to be silenced. He used that platform to champion other minority entrepreneurs, hoping they'd follow a similar path of empowerment. Each milestone fueled more ambition. He organized a citywide fundraiser, inviting neighboring restaurants to adopt Project Hope principles. A handful joined, pooling resources to support even more families across different districts. Brenda spoke at the event, sharing how a single act of kindness had changed her and Noah's trajectory. Camera flashes captured her tearful gratitude, and Malcolm stood beside her, proud that their story was inspiring wider transformation. Even with new demands, the restaurant remained at the heart of it all, a constant reminder that community starts around a shared table. On the program's second anniversary, the restaurant hosted a celebration dinner. Strings of lights twinkled against the windows, and the air smelled of fresh bread and sweet optimism. Families who'd overcome dire straits joined local officials, sponsors, and reporters. Brenda, now a confident speaker, introduced scholarship recipients, including Noah. His voice wavered with emotion as he recounted the night he and his mother could barely afford a meal. "That simple kindness made me believe I could have a future," he said, eyes shining. Malcolm took the stage, reflecting on how he'd felt the same doubts as a young student. "When someone invests in you, it changes everything," he told the crowd. He thanked his staff for their tireless dedication, reminding everyone that each volunteer hour, each donated dollar, and each compassionate gesture formed the backbone of Project Hope. As the evening ended with music and laughter, Malcolm looked around, certain that this was only the beginning of something far greater than one restaurant. In the weeks that followed, Project Hope expanded into a full-fledged network, with multiple restaurants offering job fairs, free meals, and mentorship programs. Malcolm's phone rang incessantly with offers of support. Yet he remained grounded by memories of tough days growing up. The stares when he walked into upscale establishments, the times he felt unworthy of success. Now, as a CEO, he was reshaping narratives and opening doors for anyone determined to push through adversity. Brenda and Noah kept paying it forward. They volunteered at job workshops, cooked meals for those in need, and spoke openly about their transformation. Their journey echoed across the city, showing that real change wasn't abstract. It was personal, immediate, and profoundly human. Each time Malcolm caught sight of them in the restaurant, his chest filled with gratitude. Late one night, he locked up after the final guests left. The hush of the empty dining room felt peaceful, the soft glow of overhead lights illuminating memories etched into every corner. This was the place where he first saw Brenda and Noah struggling to afford a meal. It was also the birthplace of a movement that turned compassion into concrete action. Exhaling slowly, he realized how far they'd come, and how far they would still go. Standing by the door, he remembered the countless souls who found new hope here. The future felt wide open, full of possibility and promise, and as he turned off the lights, he silently vowed that Project Hope would never stop growing, giving anyone who walked through these doors the faith to believe in their own tomorrow. We've reached the end of this story, but its message resonates far beyond a single restaurant. When a CEO like Malcolm Brown decides to use his success for community uplift, he demonstrates that genuine leadership extends past profit margins. It shows us that empathy in action can transform both businesses and lives. By listening to Brenda and Noah, Malcolm ignited a ripple effect of hope. A free meal evolved into scholarships, job training, and renewed dignity for countless people. Their stories highlight a universal truth: kindness lifts us all. As you reflect on these events, remember the power of a single decision to help another. It doesn't require wealth, it demands only compassion. Each of us can start a similar journey by looking around and asking, who needs a hand? We can fuel change by sharing this story, commenting on what moved us, or donating to a cause that aligns with our values. In doing so, we become part of a chain that turns everyday compassion into lasting impact. Now, if this story touched your heart, consider sharing it, discussing it, or subscribing for more updates. May we all remember that real unity starts when we see each other. This story, whether real or fictional, we hope that somewhere out there people truly encounter narratives like this. Stories spark hope. That's our tagline on this channel, because we believe in sharing tales that uplift hearts and awaken possibility. May you take something from this story to use in your own life. perhaps an extra measure of understanding for someone in need, or the courage to stand up for genuine kindness. Thank you for watching.